Buhari launches Nigeria and Malaria Council. Zamfara State House of Assembly has passed into law a new bill on the protection of children. Strike continues as ASU and federal government meeting end in deadlock. On business, blackout looms as electricity workers threatened indefinite strike. On international news, opposition leader Raila Odinga rejects Kenya's election results. On sports, Elon Musk declares interest to buy Man United. Hello there and thanks for joining us. That was the headlines for Standard Voice Television News. I am Muhammad Ibrahim Disha, now the news in full. President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday launched the Nigeria and Malaria Council at the State House in Abuja, the nation's capital, with Alhaji Aliko Dangote as its chairman. The council is expected to drive the federal government's commitments to end malaria in the country. In attendance at the launch is the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bas Mustafa, Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehanire, among other ministers and top government officials. Speaking to Assistant Member Council, headed by the President of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, who accepted to be an ambassador for malaria, the President maintained the quest to eliminate malaria remains a priority for his administration.
Malaria infection can cause severe disease and complication in pregnant women and lead to high rates of miscarriage. Our inauguration today will therefore ensure that malaria elimination remains a priority on our agenda, with strong political commitment from leaders at all levels. Additionally, the End Malaria Council will provide a platform to advocate for more funding to protect and sustain progress made so far by our country and put us on a pathway to ending malaria for good.
President Buhari stated that malaria, as we all know, is an age-long disease and remains a major public health challenge in Nigeria. Other than that, the World Health Organization reports of 2021 shows that Nigeria alone accounts for 27% of all cases of malaria and 32% of deaths globally. Zamfara State House of Assembly has passed into law the bill for a law to provide for the protection of children in Zamfara State and other matters related. Presenting the report before the House plenary, the chairman of the Joint Committee on Women, Children Affairs and Judiciary, Kabiru Magaji Kwatarkwashi, appealed for the members to accept the committee report. The Public Relations Officer of the House, Alhaji Biyabiki, noted that the committee chairman told the House that considering the peculiarity of the bill and the nature of the state critical, stakeholders including Islamic scholars, traditional rulers as well as civil society partners were engaged, where vital inputs were received for integration. Speaking, Magaria thanked the committee for engaging stakeholders aimed at gathering inputs to enhance the quality of the content of the bill. He thanked stakeholders and partners such as Save the Children, UNICEF and women groups for their painstaking contribution towards making the bill an active document. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduji of Kano State has constituted an investigative panel to look into the findings of a visitation panel to one of the state-owned universities. Reports gathered that a visitation panel to Kano State University of Science and Technology, WUDIL, had made several recommendations in its draft white paper report, which had since been adopted by the government. The recommendations had included for the state to investigate the financial standing of the university amidst following reports of unremitted pensions of the staff to the tune of 352 million. The State Commissioner for Information, Malam Muhammad Garba, in a statement on Tuesday said the interagency investigative panel set up by the governor would look into the entire outstanding liabilities and the audited accounts and recover the amount lost in the university. The committee, according to him, will be chaired by the Permanent Secretary Establishment, Office of the Head of Civil Service, while Permanent Secretary RUEPA, Office of the Secretary to the State Government, Permanent Secretary Pension Trust Fund, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance, State Auditor General, Local Government Auditor Chairman, Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education will serve as members, while the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice is to serve as a member and secretary of the committee. He said the governor will inaugurate the committee at a later date to be announced. Governor Bello Matawalle has provided a total of 1,500 brand new motorcycles to the newly commissioned Committee Protection Guards, according to the state statement by one of his spokesperson, Malam Zailani Baffa. The governor on Monday also provided 20 brand new equipped operational vans to strengthen security operation across the 14 local government area of the state. The statement further said lawful weapons will also be issued to these community guards for the successful take-up of their activities. He further said the governor has promised to continue to empower the activities of community guards so that they can be able to provide the deserving complementary role to the activities of the conventional security forces.
Community protection guards, which we are going to be doing right now for onward transmission of various events that we have in the state.
While acknowledging the successes recorded in Champi's effort, the statement said the state government has launched numbers 112 as distress emergency call number, which is meant for citizens to always call when there is an emergency, noting that the call is always free of charge. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency weather forecast has shown that some parts of Borno, Kebbi, Sokoto, Bayelsa and Delta states could be flooded in the coming days. NIMET said its soil moisture analysis and the weather patterns showed that some parts of the states are flood high-risk areas. For more on the story, Rafi Nasara has more details.
The Director General of NIMET, Prof. Mansur Matazu, disclosed this in Abuja on Thursday at press briefing. Recall flooding is already ravaging communities in Jigawa and Sokoto State following increased rainfall in the last few days. Hundreds of houses and swaths of farmlands have been ravaged by the flood. NIMET's predictions shows that those patterns will continue in the coming days or weeks. Prof. Matazu said in the recent analysis of the soil moisture carried out in the last 48 hours shows the states were most vulnerable to flood. He said the high-risk areas are the central part of Borno State, the northern part of Kebbi and Sokoto State, including central parts of Kaduna State with a portion of some parts of Bayelsa State and Delta State. According to NIMET DG, the medium-risk areas include central parts of Kebbi, Zamfara, Niger and western parts of Kaduna, also some parts of Plateau, Nasarawa and Taraba State, southern Borno and Yobe State. While the remaining part of the country, he said, the forecast shows low risk to flood. NIMET tools advise states and emergency response agencies to upscale awareness around vulnerable areas and advise the residents on evacuation plans. Rafi Nasara reporting for SVTV News.
The meeting between the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government has again ended without an agreement reached. Hence, with this development, the 6-month-old strike by public university lecturers is set to continue. The striking lecturers had met with the Professor Nimi Briggs Committee on Tuesday at the National Universities Commission in Abuja with high hopes of resolving the impasse. A senior member of ASU who craved anonymity told newsmen that members of the Briggs Renegotiation Committee did not come with any new offer on the table. Instead, the ASU source said the committee pleaded with the lecturers to suspend the ongoing strike, which promises that their concerns will be included in the 2023 budget. According to the source, the meeting, which started at about 12 p.m., lasted for about 3 hours without any agreement reached. Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism, Nasarawa State, Alhaji Lawal Yakubu, has been kidnapped by unknown gunmen. The public relations officer of the state police force, DSP Ramhan Nansel, confirmed the abduction of the commissioner in a statement made available to newsmen on Tuesday in Lafia, the state capital. He said the police have already sent its officers to follow the bandits with the aim of rescuing the victim. The report stated that the bandits kidnapped Alhaji Lawal from his house in Nasrawa Igon town in Nasrawa Igon local government area of the state. The incident, which happened on Monday, has further caused panic in the area where some gunmen killed a school teacher on Saturday. It was discovered that the bandits attacked the commissioner's house at around 8:45 p.m. where they started shooting in the air, which scared the residents of the area before the go-in with the victim. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to present the 2023 appropriation to the National Assembly in September. The Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabuzi, disclosed this on Monday in Abuja at training on budget preparation using the Government Integrated Financial Management Information System. Reports gathered that two-day nationwide training on budget preparation is organized for over 4,000 budget officers drawn from about 900 ministries, departments and agencies of the government. For more on the story, over to our correspondent Samira Ibrahim.
The Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabuzi, who was represented by the Director, Expenditure Socials in the Budget Office, Mr. Fabian Obu, said the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari is determined to ensure consistent and timely preparation, submission and approval of annual budgets as part of its public financial management reforms. Mr. Akabuzi, however, lamented that MDAs do not study the budget's call circular in details and as such make mistakes that should ordinarily be avoided if they had compiled with the relevant sections of the budget circular. He said the main goal of this training is to provide continuous learning to equip budget personnel with the requisite knowledge, skills and the tools they require to prepare and submit the 2023 budget.
The main goal of this training is to provide continuous learning to equip budget personnel with the requisite knowledge, skills, and the tools they require to prepare and submit the 2023 budget. It has been observed that MDAs do not study the budget circular in detail, as such make mistakes that should ordinarily be avoided if they had complied with the relevant sections of the budget circular.
He said the 2023 budget is also being prepared in tandem with extant federal government policies and guidelines as circulated in the 2023 budget call circular and other relevant laws and regulations. That's the report. Samira Ibrahim reporting for SVTV News.
The Zamfara State Government has directed the conversion of Dampa COVID-19 Disease Control Center to General Hospital status. The directive was issued by the state's Deputy Governor, Senator Hassan Muhammad Nasiha, while on a second official visit to the State Center for COVID-19 Diseases Control at Dampa and the Yariman Bakura Specialist Hospital, Gusau. Briefing journalists shortly after the inspection exercise at Yariman Bakura Specialist Hospital,
the government decided to combat this place to General Hospital. Moreover, this is Dampa with a lot of population. So many people are coming into Dampa. People from Mada, Magani, Endo Tundaji, Borno, Korompori are following through these places. So for us to make this place a general hospital, it will be being utilized promptly because people on this area will be of benefit of the hospital.
The Chairman Gusau said the visit was a follow-up to his last visit to the two respective facilities aimed at seeing for himself the level of compliance of the state government's directive and how best the management and staff can improve their services for the betterment of the citizens. At Dampa COVID-19 Diseases Control Center, the Deputy Governor inspected all the available equipment and directed for the immediate handing over of the facility by the Ministry of Works to the Ministry of Health for onward preparations by it for the conversion of the center to the status of General Hospital. He further ordered that 2 weeks ultimatum time frame is given to the Ministry of Health to ensure immediate take-off of the center as General Hospital. And let's have our business news with Amina Kabir Sarki.
Audio Jungle.
Thank you, Rama Ibrahim. And a business update. Nigeria's electricity supply crisis could worsen from Wednesday as the organized labor has directed workers in the power sector to down tools and commence an indefinite strike over pending labor issues with the Transmission Company of Nigeria. The National Union of Electricity Employees on Tuesday picketed the headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Abuja. They complained about the alleged failure of the federal government to pay the entitlement of former staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria in December 2019. The aggrieved workers under the aegis of the National Union of Electricity Employees said this is a prelude to an indefinite strike action expected to commence on August 17. In a circular entitled Call to Action, the General Secretary of National Union of Electricity Employees, Joe Ajero, directed them to ensure total compliance, vowing to paralyze the operations of Transmission Company of Nigeria nationwide over anti-masses activities. And still on business, European gas prices surged Tuesday to a 6-month peak, exacerbating recession fears as the region faces the prospect of rationing following cuts to Russia's supplies amid the war in Ukraine. Oil prices, meanwhile, extended losses a day after tumbling more than 5% on fears demand will subside due to recession or slow growth in major economies such as China. Stocks mostly advanced despite the gloomy economic news on hope central banks will let up on interest rate hikes. In Europe, the natural gas reference price to TTF rallied around 10% at one point to over 250 euros per megawatt hour, the highest level since the start of March, or not long after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Reduced Russian energy shipment of around only 20% of capacity through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline have increased the risk of rationing in this coming months. Spiking gas prices would likely push European nations into recession, hitting demand for other goods such as oil. That's all for Business Update. I'm Aminat Kabir Sarki. Thank you for watching and keep watching Standard Voice Television.
Thank you, Amina, and on international news. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has said he will pursue legal and constitutional options to contest results of the recently concluded presidential election in Kenya. Mr. Odinga, the presidential candidate of the Azimio la Umoja Declaration of Unity, One Kenya Alliance, lost to the Deputy President William Ruto. Mr. Ruto, who was officially declared the winner on Monday, had 50.49% of the vote against Odinga's 48.5%. Mr. Odinga's first comments on the results came shortly after 4 of the 7 election commissioners said they stood by their decision a day earlier to disown the outcome of the presidential poll, saying the final tallying process had been opaque.
The Court of Appeal in the Maina Kiai case ruled, and I quote again, reiterate as we conclude that there is no doubt from the architecture of the laws we have considered that the people of Kenya did not intend to vest or concentrate such sweeping and boundless powers in one individual, that is the chairperson of the appellant. That is why I and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya and the nation at large were shocked yesterday to learn that Mr. Chebukati alone decided to pronounce himself on the supposed winner of the 2022 presidential elections. We understand that only Mr. Chebukati alone had access to the tally of the presidential vote. He denied all the commissioners access to that information until he suddenly appeared before the commissioners in the late afternoon to present them with a fait accompli.
He said his view is that the figures announced by the Electoral Commission Chairman Wafula Chebukati are null and void and must be quashed by courts of law. And for sports updates, Tesla billionaire Elon Musk briefly electrified the debate about the future of Manchester United by claiming on Twitter that he is buying the struggling Premier League club, before saying that the post was part of a long-running joke. With the team rooted to the bottom of the league after a humiliating 4-0 away defeat to Brentford, the outspoken entrepreneur's tweets offered hope, however, briefly to fans who wants to see the back of current owners, the Florida-based Glazer family. Musk has a history of making irreverent tweets, and he later clarified the post by saying he was not buying sports teams. According to its current stock market valuation, Bayern United, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, would have cost Musk at least €2 billion. The Red Devils fans are no longer comfortable with the current club's owners, the Glazer family, and have been protesting, asking them to go. And still on sports news, former Rangers manager Ali McCoist wants Nigeria defender Leon Balogun back at the club. Balogun was released by the Guards in June following the expiration of his contract. The 33-year-old, who won the Scottish Premiership and Scottish Cup titles during his 2-year stint at Ibrox, is yet to find a new club. Rangers were held to a 2-2 draw by PSV Eindhoven in the first leg of their UEFA Champions League. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's side struggled a bit at the back in the game, and Mark Coast admitted that he'd like to see Balogun brought back to the club. And that's all we have for today's package, but before we go, let's take a look at the major headlines. Buhari launches Nigeria and Malaria Council. The State House of Assembly has passed into law new bill on protection of children. Strike continues as ASU and federal government meet an end in deadlock. On business, blackout looms as electricity workers threatened indefinite strike. On international news, opposition leader Raila Odinga rejects Kenya's election results. On sports, Elon Musk declares interest to buy Man United. On behalf of the production team, Head of News and Current Affairs, I still remain Rahma Ibrahim. Do have a nice day and keep watching Standard Voice Television.